Joe's on a heater on Craftsmaster Journey. Good for him. That's awesome. So people will arrive late, and right in the middle of my rant, they're gonna come on over here and log in. Good for Joe. You need a heater every once in a while, don't you? Just to kind of get through your day. I think sometimes that. I know Joe had a stretch there where he was having a rough time, and that's actually a huge help. And actually, Joe is the kind of guy I want to talk about today. So hopefully, when he's done, tell him on his channel when he's done, come on over here and listen to what I got to say. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's Tuesday on House Edge Live, and we're gonna go a little opposite of our normal flow, but we're gonna go fact or fiction today. Really, I should have called today's episode. I think I did. I called it the Flyshit and Pepper episode, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what that means to me. And I think I've done this before. I know I've done it before, actually. When my dad passed away a few years back, we did a series of shows on what I call geneisms, right? Things like sayings from my father that have always kind of stuck with me. And it's kind of the thing where if I ever write a book, and I will write a couple of books probably, but if I write a book that's not gambling related, I would probably write a book about like the things my dads have said to me that have stuck with me, right? Now there's lots of books like that out there. And I think, I don't know, there's just some interesting stuff. Anyway, Flyshit and Pepper was one. When I first met my dad, and I say that because he's not my real dad. My father, my stepfather, I met him when I was in first grade or something like that. And anyway, one of the things he told me was this, and I'll never forget this because I was, a little soft when I was growing up. And we lived in Jersey, outside of Philly, and he had lost his dad when he was like 12, and he had to basically run the family business and kind of be the guy. And he valued street smarts and wisdom above almost everything. And what he told me was, you're never going to succeed. You won't be a man or a good leader until you can learn how to separate the fly shit from the pepper. And when I was a young kid, of course, at 10, 11 years old, I had no idea what he meant, right? I didn't get the saying. I get the saying today, of course, right? And so I want to talk to you about that today, about separating the fly shit from the pepper. And we're going to do it specifically with regards to the way that we look at YouTubers and the content that's out there for people to consume today. And I think it's in a bad state. I think the gambling content has gotten into a terrible state. And I want to talk through it with you. And it's the kind of thing that makes me want to stop doing shows and stop putting videos out and just do my normal thing. Because there's so much garbage out there. And there's so many garbage peddlers out there that it just drives me freaking nuts. Anyway, so we had a thing last week with Waylon and Jimmy getting into it, and it just to me highlights part of the problem. So let's go ahead and get into it, and we'll start like we should always start with the reminder that although today might feel like it's John against the world or it's me against somebody, whatever, it's not it. We're all here against the casinos, right? Every show you watch on YouTube is in some way battling the casino. In some way they're partnering with the casinos. In some way they're battling the casinos because the casinos exist to take all your money. That's it. Their whole game is taking all your money. Our whole game is trying to survive and maybe come away with a win every so often, right? We don't have a whole lot of tools. The tools we have are things like the bridge, right? We have this way of managing our bankroll, using it as leverage, managing our losses, again, using it to win when we can. It's the one physical tool you got is your bankroll. Everything else is up in your head, right? Dealing with risk the way you see it, playing in a way that matches your risk profile, being smart, having discipline, setting goals, keeping all your emotions under control. All these things that's your toolkit. That's what you got. And I think that reminding us every day, framing it this way is an important bit into it. And I think that if you learn not only how to play this way, okay, but use this as a sieve, as a filter, if you will, over everything you see. When you watch Jimmy make up some bullshit strategy and tell you that it's the secret sauce, and if you pay him $30, you can have it. Run it through this filter, right? How does it match my risk? Would I be okay playing that way, right? Is it a smart way to play? Does it actually attack a table the way a table should be attacked? I look at like some of Waylon's stuff and say, man, that's some genius shit right there, right? It attacks a table in a different way, right? Is the person giving it to me smart? Am I smart enough to understand what I just saw, right? Does it take discipline, and do I have it? If I set a goal, could that thing I'm watching hit this goal that I've got? And is that an emotional way to play? And would I play it? Right? You filter the people through this lens, and also yourself, and also the strategy. Does it all fit? And if it does all fit, that might be something to take down to your practice table and say, let me give this thing a shot. Let me actually run it through and see if I actually play it. And if the answer to that question is yes, I would actually play it, but you don't practice it, then you become part of the fly shit, right? You become part of the wrong pile, if you will. So with all that said, let's hop in and do a little fact or fiction today. And again, fact or fiction today is all about fly shit and pepper. It's about good and bad. It's about good versus evil. It's about morals versus no morals. It's about the way that people see you in the world and your reaction to how you're being seen. I think it's an important thing. So here we go. The way that I want to frame this first is talking about the things on gambling YouTube that I view as fly shit. Okay. And some of these things are obvious. They should be obvious to you, but maybe they're not. I don't know. Anybody who's making some kind of a false claim. Okay. I make $565,000 a year playing craps. False bullshit claim. There's no way. Let me repeat it again. There is no effing way that somebody makes $568,000 a year playing craps and is on YouTube 3 times a week selling a $25 strategy bag. No way in hell, right? That's number one. If somebody was making that much money in craps, they would never leave the casino. It's impossible to make that kind of money. It's also impossible, unless you're a bluff or a Vegas mat, to play at the levels that these guys play at. You don't just come on YouTube on a Saturday afternoon and say, I make $500,000 a year playing craps. And by the way, I walk up to a table and buy in for 10, 15, 20K, and I can run a martingale 6 from $30 up to 6,000. It doesn't happen. The casinos will never let you do it. They'll never let you do it. It's just not permitted. And that's the thing that I think you all maybe don't know. And things I've learned, by the way, working at Casino Quest, talking to David, talking to casino bosses. When they watch some of these videos, yeah, they let Vegas Matt do some things. Yeah, they let a couple of these guys, these big influencers, do some crazy betting. They don't let you walk into a casino and drop $15,000, $20,000 on a table and start with a $30 bet and martingale. They won't allow you to do it. It's not a thing. It's just not a thing. Somebody claims that it's false. The numbers are outrageous, right? It's just not a thing. If they're a self-proclaimed goat, run from that, right? People have called me a goat, right? I've called Waylon and Ken goats. I've called a lot of people the goat in certain things, right? If somebody bestows that on you, cool. Somebody thanks you for teaching them something and they think you're great, that's great. You run out of the building and say, hey, I am the greatest thing that ever lived. And if you're not listening to me, if you're not throwing like me, says King Dice, you can't win. If you're not betting like me by buying my strategies, you can't win, says Jimmy. Follow? If you don't do exactly as I do it, says Bone Thrower, you'll be a lifetime loser, right? Self-proclaiming yourself as the GOAT should be key number one. They're storytellers, and they're always the star of their own bullshit. They're the star of their own lie. These guys, look at some of them. Look at some of them. What are they out there for? What are they out there doing? What's their moral compass? Do they have a moral compass? Are they in this at all for the right reasons? Or are they in this only to suck you dry, right? King Dice is trying to sell a program. King Dice went out there and said, I'm the best tosser on the planet. And if you can't shoot, you can't win. And by the way, here's where you go to sign up to give me $2,000 so I can show you how to be like me. He came out of nowhere and declared himself the greatest. That's bullshit. That's fly shit. I can't wait till Fran has him on Casino Tiers. You'll see what a bullshit, self-proclaiming asshole that guy is. the outrageous claims, right? Him sitting by the pool waving 10 grand. How do you win 10 grand playing craps? You play with me and you shoot the bullshit. It's bullshit, right? What are they here for, right? If their whole purpose on YouTube is to make money from y'all, Mickey Mace, another one. Mickey Mace, here it is. I was going to say this inning, was banned not because he took down Baccarat or some killer system. You're exactly right. He didn't trash a hotel room. He trashed a hotel. They gave him, now, the truth of his story is, yeah, he had a bunch of money. And yeah, he went in there and he won a bunch and lost. That's all not false, right? The amounts he claims to have won and lost, bullshit. You're not putting $1 million a hand down. There's not a casino in town that will take $1 million per hand bet just because of who you are. Nobody gets that kind of action. And if you do get that kind of action, the amount of stuff you got to go through by Nevada Gaming to get approved. It's not just the casino. Nevada Gaming gets involved when you're making $25,000, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million size bets. The gaming gets involved, not the casino. Mickey Mace is not passing Nevada Gaming to get that kind of action is bullshit. But they did let him gamble big. They did give him a bunch of stuff. He destroyed hotel rooms. He wasted their planes. He destroyed a jet. His people partied and destroyed a jet while he was flying between Vegas and LA to pick up his keys and shit that he forgot, right? He's a storyteller who's always a star of his own bullshit. That's the kind of guy you got to run from. Self-proclaimed GOAT. That's horse crap. I can't believe that people watch anything that guy says. And they do. And part of the problem, right, is that YouTubers will have him on because it's cool to have Mickey Mace on. I can get 1 billion views on this video and I can make money from it, right? I didn't start YouTube to make money. It's nice that I make a little bit of money from it, but it's not enough money to do anything with, right? But if I started a channel for the sole purpose of sucking you dry, taking your money, I'm no better than the casino. I'm no better than, as Ken would say, P.T. Barnum. I'm no better than any scam artist. I'm the greatest craps player of all time. Says me. I go to the casino and buy them for 10,000 and I win 20 every time I go because I'm the best. And here's the way I play. But I'm going to show you part of it. And then you come over here and pay me for it. That's what these people do. That's dangerous. And if you get sucked into it because you've been waiting your whole life to get the fucking secret, and here's a guy selling you a secret, a guy that doesn't know how to play the game. You can tell by the videos, they don't know how to play the game. They don't know the rhythm of the puck. They don't know how the bets pay. They don't know dick about the game they're trying to teach you, sell you on, that they're the best of. That's Flyshit. That's somebody whose sole purpose is to take your money because he knows you're weak and knows you need shit. Now, the flip side of that, and again, I'm going to quote my good friend Ken from Ken Knows Gambling. If you're getting sucked into that, you're part of the problem too, because you're allowing it to happen. People who paid King Dice to learn how to throw dice, people who pay Jimmy for strategies, people who pay some of these other charlatans out there, right, for the secret, are part of the problem, right? We always say in politics, vote with your wallet. If you're voting for a guy or a gal that turns out to be the problem, you're the problem. Vote with your wallet. Get these people out of office. Get these people off of YouTube. I'm looking at Bluff, by the way. Bluff doesn't give false claims or outrageous claims, right? Or he doesn't even call himself the GOAT. He's not a storyteller. He ain't the star of his own lie. Okay? But what Bluff does is sell you a lie. What Bluff does is do things that are so, and Vegas Matt too, that are so heinous and out of the, and there's other guys too. I forget the one guy's name, the Degen Dalt or some shit, right? These guys just light money on fire because it gets eyeballs. And because it gets eyeballs, YouTube pays them massive amounts of money. That massive amount of money goes back to the casino for another video where they're blowing it all up and people get sucked into it. They get sucked into it. And what happens is this, you watch Bluff burn 10 grand a hand on a round of blackjack and you think you can do that. Then you watch Waylon, then you watch Jimmy, you watch somebody else go, hey, buy for $5,000, you can do this too. And you go, oh my God, I think I can do it. You're building your own pile of fly shit by watching that stuff. by consuming that kind of content and by paying them $1, right? Joe, I have a good toss, Joe, by the way. I heard Joe was on a heater today, right? Joe from Craftmaster Journey is a GOAT. He's not self-proclaimed. Joe has never said and will never say, I'm the greatest thrower on the planet. Joe has never said and will never say, if you want to throw like me, pay me. That's not Joe's way. That's not Joe's way, because Joe is not part of the Flyshit group. Joe is part of the Pepper group. Okay? And when you look at, when I say, oh crap, wrong direction. When I say Pepper, this is what I'm talking about. People who have your best interest at heart. People who have solid ethics and morals. People have a clear purpose. If a channel doesn't have a clear purpose beyond, let me just take your fucking money, it's fly shit. The clear purpose of Joe's channel is to take you on the ride with him. Joe has become one of the best dice shooters around, right? Because he made himself that way. Every day he went out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, my time, practice, showed it all, warts and all. Days where he had 7 straight PSOs and wanted to quit. I know he did. I've seen days like today where he's got a heater, right? His purpose was to teach through learning himself. High character. He goes to the casino today, he can back it up. Every story Joe tells, somebody has seen. I've played with Joe. Joe's played with me. Jen, Ryan from Mark the Point, Ian Olson, everybody's played with me. They know my character. Every story I tell is grounded. They're all based in reality. If somebody's telling you something that's not well grounded, that's not based in reality, that hasn't been witnessed, that they can't back up, you can tell that their character is low by what they're asking you to do. You can tell they're of low character. Their purpose is not to help you or serve you. Their purpose is to be served by you. Run. And again, this video today is all about you, right? I can call these guys out all day long. I can name them all. I've named a bunch of them today. I don't care if they don't like me, if they push back, or their fans push back. I don't care. They're all full of crap, and they're all selling you a line. They're all a bunch of charlatans. But the problem is, you and we, and as a group, buy into it. They should be reported to YouTube, not watched on YouTube, as far as I'm concerned, right? I come from a place of protection. When I talk about things every day, and I get pretty passionate about some stuff, it's all about protection. It's my bank. I want to protect my bankroll first and foremost, but I want you to play in a way that protects your bankroll and your savings and your life and your fun and your experience. My clear purpose is to assist you in that. My clear purpose is to steer you away from the horrible things that are out there. And if you don't know about them, we have lots of new gamblers in this room that don't know about them. My job is to steer your ass away from that dangerous crap that's out there. You got to watch. You got to watch who you watch, right? As much time as, and as much time as I've spent with David and Alex and the guys at Casino Quest, I can tell you that they check every box here, right? They may come off like they're goofy and fun and they're all the innuendo and blah, blah, blah. Those guys are 100% ethically and morally based. They have a very clear purpose and they have very high character. I wouldn't be working with them. I wouldn't be building an app with them if they weren't. Okay. There are people I just won't work with. I don't want to meet. There are people in the world I don't want to meet. I don't want to meet Christopher Mitchell. I don't want to meet Bluff. I don't want to meet Vegas Matt. I don't want to meet Jimmy. I mean, I'll probably talk to him on the phone someday. I'm sure he's going to be pissed off about this one. But there are people that just do not match my moral clarity. They just don't. And I feel like their purpose in life is to harm you. They're here to make money. They're laughing themselves all the way to the bank on the backs of dumbasses who want the secret. And there's no secret. Bluff is laughing his ass to the bank because people watch him do dumb shit that they could never afford to do, and they feel like it's real. They feel like what he does is reality, like he's risking his own money. He's not. He's just not. The way that this business works is not that way. You got just, I implore you guys all, right? Learn how to separate that fly shit from that pepper. It's so important to really look back and understand what's good and what's bad and what's truth and what's fiction, what's out there. I think the people who watch my show for the most part are here. The people who catch this at random, I hope you're listening to this. I hope you're not giving those guys your attention. I really hope you're not. I really hope that you're not giving them your money. And there are people out there, by the way, who I do think fall into the pepper pile that charge for their time. Most of them, everything that they teach is out there for free, right? I'm looking at Tony Leo, good friend of mine. Tony's a great guy, good friend. I love Tony. Everything you pay Tony for, he's already put out on YouTube. Love it or hate it. You might think it's crap. You might think it's great, whatever. It's out. He put it all out there for free. You can watch every Tony Leo strategy and hear all of his thoughts on his YouTube channel for free. You want to go and talk to him, sit down on his couch and have a coffee and talk through it, get on his table and ask questions. That's where he charges. That's okay. That's different. That's different. That's not selling you secret sauce. That's, hey, my time is valuable. You want to come hang out? We're gonna do it, right? That's a different story than the guys that are charging you for the next greatest thing. I just hate it. Yeah, bluff makes crazy money, right? But again, where's the money coming from? It's coming from eyeballs. Just like Mr. Beast, it's all eyeballs, right? If I could get 1 million views per video, I'd make $100,000 a month. And if I went to the casino, I lit it on fire, I'd make, $250 the next month. That's exactly what happens here, guys. Be careful about it. Be careful what you see. Be careful what you see. And I'll leave it with this, right? Not that, with this thought. When someone shows you who they are, even worse, if they tell you who they are, believe them. Most of the time, it's the truth. And the way they conduct themselves speaks to that. You look at the Jimmy and Waylon bullshit that happened last week, the way that was conducted was horrible. Both guys didn't like how either one of them handled that situation, right? I think maturity didn't level out in that one on both cases, right? I think that I think Ken addressed it. I'm not going to readdress the whole thing because Ken did a great job of that, right? But, jumping out there and just calling somebody an idiot because you don't like what they had to say about you, that speaks to your character. I'm sorry, that speaks to your character. And that's where I find low character people are people I don't want in my life. And that's just it. That's just it. I know this sounds like I'm coming from some high horse, but trust me, if I sell a book with strategies in it, the whole point of me selling the book is to give you a resource that you can hold on to. It's not for the $25. Trust me, right? You sell a book for $25, you might get 3. It's not about the money. It's about giving you a better way to experience what I'm trying to say and make it real and last. Right? It's conviction. I think if I can sum it all up, the one word I would use is conviction. What is somebody convicted to do? Are they convicted to take your money? Are they convicted to walk with you? I would rather be the kind of person that walks with you. I hope that makes sense. And that's kind of all I got. So I know it's kind of a weird rant, but that's where I'm at today. I'm going to go through and just look at some comments and see what we have here. Greg. There you go, man. I'll be back in about a month or so. We'll definitely talk through it. I have so much fun at Casino Quest, by the way. Just kind of people walk in randomly. Hey, can I for $30 can I get a table? Like, sure. You want a dealer? And we walk over there and just play, and have a good old time. That's my favorite. I that's the best part of that job is walking in and just kind of hanging out with fellow players. Yeah, King Dice selling a program. We talked about that already. Dan doesn't even shoot. Dan doesn't even shoot, and yeah, he can win. I don't know why they do it, 4D. I just don't, and I think it just I don't know. To me, when you amplify, right, they get more. And again, by me naming names, people will watch their channels, and now they're going to get more views, whatever. I wouldn't call myself a prominent influencer, but I think I got to call it out. If I don't call it out and with actual people's names, the message won't get through. I don't want to do what even Jimmy and Waylon didn't even say each other's names. They're like, that other guy or that guy over there. Say the name. It's okay. Like, you got to call it out. I think that's a good thing. Bluff does seem like a cool dude. Right now, one thing I did see Bluff do, he won a bunch of money on a cruise ship and he tipped his steward $5,000. That's great. Right. But again, the whole thing the whole persona that's being built to me is a dangerous one. Putting that kind of content out there to me is dangerous. When I watch people light money on fire like that, it's dangerous because a lot of people out there, especially in our group, a lot of people are getting close to fixed income age. They can't burn money, but it looks like it's reality, and it's just not. So that's why I get so protective and I get mad some way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Giving your time to these guys is just as bad. I know. I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't do it either. I know, Tom. It's me. I just get mad. Just get mad sometimes, and I have to say it, right? Let's see. Yeah. So I would disagree with this one thing, right? Least house edge bets is not your best way to win. The least house edge bets are the way to lose the least amount of money. And when you're playing a game that you're expected to basically tie on, blackjack, baccarat, some of those things, the lowest house edge bet means you're just going to tie more often than not. You can only win in those games in a streak. You can only win in a quick run with aggressive betting. Most of the time you tie. That's the problem I have with the math guys, honestly, is that it's barking about the low house edge games. You should play them for what they are, which is to tie most of the time. The higher house edge bets are way more volatile. You watch the graphs, and the low house edge bets are pretty much here. A little spike once in a while, right? The higher house edge bets are the spikes like this. The graph, you lose a lot, you win a lot, right? There's opportunity in high house edge play. There's opportunity in aggressive play. I always, that's for the math guys, and I'm a mathematician in my second life, but I differ with them on that purpose, on that idea. So, but yeah, the best dice shooter betting the inside of the table will lose to random playing through. I don't. Again, one person is going to be able to capitalize more than the other is. The Molly person cannot really capitalize. That's the problem with that way of playing. But again, if it makes you feel better to do that, do that. Right? It all comes down to the bridge stuff. When I first say it, right? And we can go back to it really quick, because I think it's a great point that you bring up, and I like getting pushback. If the Molly speaks to you this way, right? A 3-point Molly player, by the way, is not a careful, cautious person. It takes a massive amount of bankroll to play that way, right? $25 bet with max odds out of your rack is massive. They're taking the shot from their rack to get repeaters. The regular player, the inside player, is taking a shot from winnings to get repeaters. There's a different mindset to it. The problem is the mindset. It's how you view risk. It's the second point, risk, right? If you're willing to risk all of it all the time, and the problem with inside players is not the fact that betting the inside in craps is a bad thing. It's how they bet the inside. It's how they lean in too much when it's not good to lean in. That's the difference. The Mollies lean in as the way that it's played. The rhythm of the Molly leans you in, but it takes a massive amount of bankroll. And believe it or not, it takes a high risk appetite to play a Molly because of the bankroll volatility that's in there. But the problem with it is, again, the opportunity that doesn't exist unless you're catching streaks. I would rather, as a low house edge play, jump onto a blackjack table. It's a 0.5% house edge versus 1.3 on the craps table, which you can lower with odds, but still, I would rather be at a known house edge. If I'm going to play for a tie and run and look for a streak, I want to do it quick. That's why I pick blackjack for that kind of mindset. I don't do it on the craps table. So, anyway, thanks for that. I'm all pepper. I appreciate you saying that. Waylon, by the way, I think is a pepper guy, right? Again, Waylon, there are people who don't like Waylon, and it's fine, right? I think Waylon's even okay with that. But the thing of it is, I think Waylon comes at this whole thing. If you look at, let me go back to the other slide. I'm not sure Waylon saw this, but you come back to it. Does Waylon have ethics and morals? Is his purpose clear? Is his character high? Does he back it up? Have people watched him play? Yes. Nobody's watched Jimmy play. People have watched Waylon play. Does Waylon live in reality? Yes. He says, look, I use $5,000 on my table at home because it's easy to see. At the casino, Go to the bubble craft machine. Right? That's reality. And he films himself doing it. Right? That's separating bullshit from reality. And I think, and that's why I respect him. Why I respect Ken. It's why I respect Jeremy. Why I respect Ed Robinson and Jeff from Atlantic Crafts and Joe from Craftsmaster Journey and Ryan. These are people who I know have clear purpose, ethics, morals, and are high character. They're not out here to take your money. Not one of them. Ed won't even charge for Brownwater Bash. He's like, Ed's still blown away that one person wants to come see him. It blows him away that somebody would fly to Biloxi to hang out with him. Never crosses his mind to charge you for something like that. That's Ed. He and I butt heads a lot, which is fine. We're good friends and we're allowed to do that. That's Pepper. That's Pepper. Gargoyle did all those shows for nothing. Promotes all of us because he thinks we're helping people out. He wants to help people out. High moral character, clear purpose. Again, if your clear purpose is to take your viewers' money, I got nothing to say to you. It's kind of how that is. Yeah, you got to go back and watch Waylon. I don't mention you in a bad way. I use you as an example sometimes as we go through it, right? Casino Quest tables are $30 an hour. You can just get a bucket of dice and throw it. You know what I mean? Or you can just have somebody like me sit with you. So there you go. Because the good channels can't get eyeballs because nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants to hear what Ken has to say. Nobody wants to watch. And I love Ken and I love Waylon. And I think Waylon's probably still here, right? The videos where the $300 bankroll build, to me, fascinating. To some of you, fascinating. People who watch YouTube could give two shits about watching some old fart win $30 in a 45-minute video. That's the truth of it because it's not exciting. It's not bluffish. It's not 10 grand. It's not lights and shiny things, right? People want the magic. They want the show. They want all the crazy. Nobody cares when you talk about reality. Nobody cares when you play on our channels with a real size bankroll. Nobody cares. Ken and Waylon, Jeremy will all tell you, those are the least watched videos. All the ones with the clickbait, right? That's the ones people watch. I'm not going to do that. Ken will never do it. Waylon will never do it. They just won't do it. High moral character. That's the point of it. So there it is. I did sign up for Premier Hosting. And again, hosting companies are what they are, right? Premier Hosting. Again, I don't have a problem with bringing people to the casino. I love casinos and I work with them. I actually have some partnerships going with casinos. I have no problem with all of that, but I'm not going to sell you a bill of goods, right? What hosts do is facilitate play and give you a good experience. You don't have to deal with all the crap. The host will just take care of it all for you and you can just have the good experience. I think it's a great business model, right? If you can get into it. So, all right. What would a channel look like that bluffs time on the tables, but using my conservative? Nobody would watch it. You're right. Nobody would watch it. Right. Alex did it. Alex from Casino Quest, one of the most popular guys on YouTube, went to the casino with $500 and went every single day and tried to just double his money. Nobody cares. Nobody cares because it's not piles of money. It's not imaginary funds. Nobody wants reality, but the reality is it's all this stuff is real. So there it is. I appreciate you, Dan. That's good to hear that. Right. And I think, yeah, those guys, the amount of eyeballs they get to me is a little bit discouraging. It's discouraging to know that that's what's popular. I guess that would say, right? Does that make sense? Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, the all day. I love the all day strategy. The all day strategy and the horsemen are so similar. They're both awesome. My take on the Jimmy Waylon thing, honestly, is this. I don't think, again, Ken said it better than I could ever say it, right? But what Waylon has to realize is this. Waylon's, and I hope Waylon, say hi if you're still here. I really want you to hear what I'm about to say. I think it's important. What Waylon has done, okay, is not to invent a million strategies, right? All of the things that Waylon does are born of the same tree. It's all different versions of the D'Alembert, whatever you want to call it, the ladder system, right? The ladder's been around since the dawn of time, the ladder system, right? up as you win, or up as you lose, down as you win. It's a thing. What Waylon has done with it, though, is brought it to craps. And he brought it to craps in a way that I think is engaging. Okay? What he's done is, if you're laddering the 4 and the 10, or the 5 and the 9, or the ins, it doesn't matter what you're laddering, right? Waylon's put a lot of time into making sure the math of those ladders work. It's not always just up a unit. There's levels in there that you have to think about. He's done the thinking for you. Waylon also, again, ladders and craps like nobody else really ever talks about. He brought it to the forefront. Waylon created these strategies on the craps table and shares them in craps. Most ladder systems, 99.8% of them, baccarat roulette, blackjack. That's where people do the ladders and the negative progressions, not on the craps table. He's brought that right here in front of us. We can all see it everyday life. And it's like, wow, that's really I never thought of it. I never thought of craps in a ladder way. I've done ladders in baccarat and blackjack from when I was 20. I never thought to do it on a craps table the way he does it. He's popularized it. He's named them, right? He might do the 410 ladder and name it some whatever he called the Dixie Wonderland, blah, blah, blah. Who cares what the fuck he names it? You name it so you don't forget what it's called. You name it so it's got a thing we can all, oh, okay, I know what he's talking about. That's why you name them, right? So yeah, Waylon invented the names. He didn't invent the ladder, but the way that Waylon plays it, the way that Waylon explains how the ladders work, the way that he works his bankroll while playing a ladder, the way that he talks about the 4 and 10 versus the 7, the way that his brain thinks about the ladder is what's unique. And the way that he speaks about it is unique. And he's not selling it to you. Somebody else comes along and calls him an idiot and a moron and whatever else Jimmy called him in response to Waylon saying, and I don't know that I agree with this, Waylon probably shouldn't have said, I invented all that stuff, right? Waylon popularized and made it safe. Not safe is the wrong word. Made it approachable. Waylon made laddering craps approachable and popularized it and has done more to grow this game than most people can imagine. For somebody to come out of the blue, who I will go back a screen, right? Who is a self-declared GOAT, right? Somebody comes out and fits all this false claims, outrageous bullshit, right? And call Waylon an idiot? Call Waylon a moron? No, thank you. You can't even pay a bet right. You're going to call this guy who I know has put in thousands of hours a moron? That's worthy of zero respect. Now, do I think that they should have went at it online? No. Handle that like men offline. The way that they went about it, I don't love. I just don't love it, right? And again, you can feel the way you feel, and again, I think being reactionary is always a problem. And I know Waylon gets, he's locked in, man. Waylon's locked in on what he does, and I think what I love about Waylon the most is how locked in he gets on his stuff. Waylon believes so deeply in his way of playing that you don't want everyone to put friction on that, because he will defend it. He'll defend it like he says, I'm not a turn the other cheek Christian. Waylon will defend his way of playing to the death. And that's, I think, a good thing. Do I love the way he does it all the time? No. Right? I don't love always, he went after David and those guys one time. I don't love that. And I told him on the phone, I don't love how you did that. It's okay. We're friends. He cussed me out. I took it. That's what friends do. It's all good, right? I just don't like that public whatever. Right? I just didn't think that was great on other. It was a bad look, I think, in other words, right? But it's over now. And I think, again, Ken addressed it better than anybody else ever could. I just look at, like I said, where's the person's character coming from? Waylon comes from, I worked my ass off on this stuff. I put in the time. I'm going to share it with you because I want to. Not because I want to suck 25 hours out of you. That's the difference to me. That's the difference between Flyshit and Pepper, by the way. Right? It's that moral clarity. I think that's where it is. Anyway, that is, hopefully that makes sense to everybody, right? I just feel like, I don't know. For some reason, I'm on the moral high ground today, and I was mad over the last week. I'm less mad about it today, but I'm still, anyway, there we go. I'm out, guys. You all have a great day. I got to get to work. I'm sorry. I got to cut a little bit short here. I've been through most of the comments. Just remind you again, stay in focus, right? Follow your plan, right? Observe the conditions, play when it's good for you to play, right? Conditions does not mean hot table, cold table. Conditions means, am I feeling good? Am I in a good headspace to play today? Can I control my emotions? Do I understand what I'm playing? And can I stay disciplined? That's it. All right, you guys. I love every one of you. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, you keep it simple, right? Admire the simplicity. Be a genius. Love y'all.